Debate from 18.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to debate against the bill.
Have the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk from the heart a little bit because I have a good friend who I will call Kathy. I don't want to put her real name out here. But about 6 years ago, her child, who was transgender, wished to start pursuing the gender reassignment process. The child was still in high school, was a minor, and they were embarking on this road of starting the treatments and all of the hormone treatments, et cetera. And I remember going out with her, and I remember saying, and I had a lot of the same thoughts that you all have. And I said, well, gosh, are you sure? Are you really sure? Are you really, really, really sure? Because, teenagers change their mind on things, and they don't always have their life completely figured out. And do you really want to take such a big step when, they may decide otherwise in a couple years? And my friend kind of gave me a hard look and was just, you really think I haven't thought of these things? You think I haven't spent 2,000 hours talking to my child and my husband and the therapist and our pastor and the doctors and my friends and my sister and my mother? This is obviously not a step that a family takes lightly. This is a step that comes after literally thousands of hours of agonizing. There is no parent in the world who is just, finding a way to force sex change treatments onto their kids. They do this because they realize after endless, excruciating probing that this is what their child needs. And in her case, her child had known they were in the wrong body since the day they were born, just about. I mean, since they were a toddler, it had tormented them. This was not something that they just came to in a teenage, sudden moment. This had been tormenting this child since they were a toddler. They were more than a decade into this process by the time they started having these questions. And I have to say, they did proceed. And it was, my friend was right to do so. It was a total success. The child transitioned from female to male, started at a new school as their preferred gender, made friends as a boy, successfully completed high school, and it was like a switch had flipped off. I mean, it was amazing. It was like the problem's gone overnight. The depression, the suicidality, all of the distractions and miseries were gone. It was like, and they actually described it as having like a giant tumor on your face just removed. All of a sudden, problem gone, went off to college, did fantastically well, made friends, successful. They went from being an unbelievably troubled youth who would very likely have made an attempt on their own life to moving forward in life with total success. And when you're talking about something that a child sees as a giant tumor on their face, you can't talk your way through that with a therapist. That is not something that just counseling can deal with. That child needed to transition. And I felt bad afterwards that I had second-guessed that. I didn't second-guess her, but even asking the question, I felt like kind of a jerk. Because who in the world am I to second-guess this family who loves this child more than anybody else in the world? There's nobody that's going to love that kid like that mother, or who's going to put more time and anguish into figuring out the right thing to do. And it was inappropriate for me, and definitely inappropriate for this legislature, to come in and override that family's decision that was extremely well thought out after many tears and many long nights and many long days and many long years. Boy, this just doesn't feel like it's in line with what I've been hearing in this body for the last 8 years. If I had a dime for every time I've heard about how parents know best and the Idaho legislature shouldn't be overriding what families feel is best for their children, this is the heaviest imaginable hand of government overriding family decisions on the most critical and, frankly, in many cases, life-threatening questions. I believe my friend probably saved her child's life by moving forward with this very, very difficult decision. In the end, I have to applaud her for going with her gut, for going with her love, for going with her investment in her child. And it's not always the right case, but I think when it's not the right case, they know it. They probe. People do not proceed with medical procedures where there's any doubt. Where it's just something that a kid came up with 3 weeks ago, nobody's doing medical procedures. This is something that they proceed with after the kid has known for 10, 15 years. This is not something that any family wants to or ever would rush into. It's something that is profoundly well thought out, and it's something that we are out of line for messing with. Now, I want to talk also, because I'm really disturbed by the inclusion of puberty blockers in this bill, which can be injected. They are not a permanent surgical alteration. They are something that actually, when you stop taking the puberty blockers, puberty arrives. It's a fully reversible thing. And seems profoundly inappropriate for me to be included in a section about genital mutilation. Now, some of you may say, well, what's the harm in waiting till you're the age of adulthood? What's the harm in just pushing this decision off till you're 18? A lot of harm, folks, a lot of harm. Allowing puberty to run its course changes the body in profound and irreversible ways. So to be very blunt, let's say you're doing a male to female transition. Whether you do that transition when you're 5'7", or whether you do it when you're 6'3" with giant broad shoulders and an Adam's apple, is really going to impact you for the next 70 years of your life in how successful that transition is. You are forcing people into a situation where the transition for the rest of their life on Earth will be far less effective. You are really messing with their lives till their dying day if you prevent them from taking action with these puberty blockers. And again, this is very, very well thought out. This is not something that is done lightly. It is reversible, but the things that happen if you don't do the puberty blockers are not reversible. And I think that, we are way out of our lane making decisions for people about what they're going to look like and how they're going to live their lives for the next 70 years of their days on Earth. Again, this procedure has been underscored as appropriate in certain circumstances by many medical professionals, including the AMA, the Endocrine Society, and others. And we are dealing with a very, very delicate population here, and I think we're being a little bit of a bull in a china shop. These are kids where over half of trans kids have seriously contemplated suicide. And in many cases, the only thing that can address their problem, it is not talk therapy. They have been through a lot of talk therapy. It is not working for the kids that are seriously considering medical procedures. The only thing that will work for them is medical procedures. So again, I hope that everybody here will be consistent with the rhetoric that has floated around this body in terms of deferring to family decision-making on such crucial and intimate and medical matters. I hope you will give this your red light.